What is up, guys? It is the Sports Nerd Bradley Walker, and welcome to the Walker Report, part of In the Zone Sports Talk Radio, part of NGSC Sportscast. Remember the website, it's ngscsports.com for all your current sports content. The show is sponsored by creatingzenspaces.com, the local choice in St. Petersburg, Florida for house cleaning, organization, decluttering, and pet sitting. It's about finding the peace within you and adding comfort to your life. Remember, guys, Zen Spaces begins with you. Be kind to yourself and one another. We are also sponsored by Carrots Designer Jewelry and Luxury Accessories. Illuminate your inner self, shatter the trendy norms, and open up your world to a newfound level of confidence and admiration. Carrots Designer Jewelry and Luxury Accessories at garrettscarrots.com. Welcome in, guys. Happy Thursday to everybody in the state of Florida that was affected by Tropical Storm or Hurricane Nicole. Hopefully everyone is staying safe. Yours truly was at work this morning going through the rain and wind. Not the easiest driving conditions as well. Not something that I would recommend anyone. Driving in the wind and rain is not something that I would recommend anyone to drive in. But hopefully everyone out there, everybody got through it okay. I know I don't think I lost any power. I wasn't home all day, but hopefully if anyone did suffer any damages, hopefully it will be taken care of very, very soon. We've got on both my two esteemed co-hosts. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
So, yeah, I did survive the tropical storm or hurricane or whatever you want to call it.
Good. Yeah, I wasn't sure it was going to go.
Everyone doing today?
Not bad.
Yeah, we're going to get wet tomorrow. Ugh.
I think it's coming your way, Lou.
Yeah, the remnants, not the full run,
Yeah.
but just remnants of it late tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah, it's passed by me. I'm heading to the movies tomorrow. I'm my day off tomorrow, so thanks to the federal holiday, Veterans Day, I get the day off. So I'm going to see Wakanda Forever in the morning. That's my plan. So,
Nice.
yeah, I'm gonna go see that movie tomorrow morning.
I'll do that Sunday.
But yeah, I driving in wind and rain is not fun.
Oh, it's horrible.
I've done it.
Watching signs blow like this and almost get blown away, and tree limbs in the roads, and trash that people didn't get tied down or blew out of their trash can all over the place. So this I can say this, and I could be wrong, but in my area the wind was worse this time around than it was with Ian, that hurricane that hit just about a month ago or a couple months ago. So
I think anything worse than Ian.
I mean, there was 50-mile-an-hour winds. We have like 3 major bridges that come out of the area, and one of them is always shut down when it's windy. That connects to Sarasota. It's the Skyway. That bridge fell actually in 1981. It was hit by a barge. And it was a foggy morning, and the communications with the bridge up didn't go fast enough, and the guy ran right into the bridge, and it collapsed, and a lot of people were killed that were on the bridge with cars going down into the water, or they were killed by rubble and stuff like that. So, that was a long time ago, but they've bridge higher. A lot of people don't like to drive on it because it's too high. If you're afraid of heights,
I don't blame him.
Yeah, if you're afraid of heights, it's not a fun thing. Guys, if you're looking, I am wearing a USF Bulls hat. Why? They did fire head coach Jeff Scott. My article about him coming back, I guess, is irrelevant now because I said he was going to come back. That's the second time I've written
just to edit
coaches.
Just to edit it. Just edit it and say could have come back.
Could have come back. So we'll get into college. I wanted to read the letter that he wrote to USF, and then we'll get into the show with everything else. But It says, USF family, we are very thankful for our time in Tampa. We will miss each of you. I will miss the players the most. The group of young men faced a lot of adversity the last few years, but continue to believe and never quit. I am confident that this group of leaders, along with our coaches and staff, were able to build a strong foundation that will allow for great success on the field in the near future. I want to share a personal moment I experienced this morning while driving my 7-year-old daughter to school. Savannah entered her daily prayer in the car this morning with the words, "Please let the Bulls football boys have great success the rest of the season, even though we won't be with them in person." Savannah's words perfectly describe my hope and desire for this football team. I want to encourage Bulls Nation to show up and support these players as they finish the season over the next 3 weeks. I don't know what my future holds, but I know who holds my future. I will continue to look at him for guidance and direction for what comes next. Thank you to everyone that made the last 3 years a special time for our family. Go Bulls, signed Jeff Scott. So that is from our former head coach writing about his experience here. So I've heard names of John Gruden. Yes, I am serious. That name has to come up. The name, and we'll get into this later on, but I think the name that makes the most sense for USF is former UCF head coach Scott Frost. That makes the most sense of anybody. That's just me. Anyway, that's just my opinion on that.
We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah. We can talk about NASCAR since Joey Logano won the championship, correct?
He did.
He did, okay.
In dominant fashion, too.
That was in Phoenix, right?
It was. And he won it going away.
Yep.
Nobody had anything for him on Sunday.
But I was reading an article on NBC Sports that says the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway moves closer to hosting a NASCAR race. Is that something that's coming up soon? It said they've
been talking about it for a couple years.
Reached an agreement with to lease Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway so that it can host NASCAR races and other events. A formal vote by the Fair Board is expected to take place January this upcoming year. In a couple months, we will be able to hear. But I saw that, and I wanted to ask you about that because being that you live in Tennessee, to ask you about if that was something that was logical or is it illogical? Or how would they?
They wanted it. Well,
something that
the big thing is it's got Junior support, and Junior Nation goes wherever he wants them to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as goes Junior Nation, so goes NASCAR.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's been something that Junior's been advocating for a couple years now. So if they can get a deal done, they'll race it. They'll race at Nashville Fairgrounds. Personally, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. They haven't raced there since the 80s, long before I got into NASCAR. So long before I was even born and able to be into NASCAR. So I honestly don't know too terribly much about it. They've been talking about it since like 2017. They've been trying to figure out how they can get noise ordinances and other legal things that have been plaguing them sorted. And it sounds like they're going to have a vote in January, and then if it passes, then I guess we'll have racing at the fairgrounds again.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can go.
It says that financing of Speedway project. It says $17 million grant from the state of Tennessee, $17 million payment for Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. So those are the people that have already put money towards the track. I'm assuming that's what that means.
Sounds like it. Sounds like they got like $34 million for.
You can go to the carnival,
Yeah.
ride the rides, and watch the race.
That would be cool.
Sounds like they've got upwards of $34 million invested in it. With that kind of money, it seems like an all but done deal. Seems like a foregone conclusion in my mind that something's going to get done.
I was gonna say, but if you have $34 million already invested into it, you're right. It's a done deal. Yeah,
I don't know.
I would say it's a.
It goes back to what I was saying about being in the boardrooms of these. We're not in the meeting rooms. But I'll keep an eye on that for y'all, and I'll update you as it develops further. It sounds like we're about 2.5 months away from a vote, and then when they have that vote, we'll have more to discuss.
And it says, let's see here. This is from NASCAR. It says Joey Logano obviously won the championship. It says Jimmy Johnson is back. Chase Elliott is
Yep.
So let's see here. Jimmy
brought in
the 312 lap Phoenix.
Yeah.
He's coming back as
absolutely. He absolutely.
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry, but we got a little bit of lag going on here, so.
We do.
Yep. Let's see if I can.
Can you repeat the what were you saying? Because I lagged out a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
I was going to say that Chase Elliott was quiet. It said Jimmy Johnson's coming back as a backup driver, as a
part-time
driver. Okay.
For select events. Yeah, he's wanting to run the 500. I really hope he runs the 600. That would be awesome.
Yes.
He bought a stake at Petty GMS. He's a part owner of Petty GMS now. Because Richard Petty is like 85 years old. And so that's old regardless of, that's old in any profession. Even that's old in being an old guy.
Right.
If your daily job is being an old guy, 85 is old. So so Petty, that's part of the reason why and they haven't had the success that they had in the 70s. Petty took a couple of bad bumps in the 80s, and he was never able to recapture the magic that he had in the 70s. And as he got older, drivers got younger and better. Whether it was Earnhardt or Waltrip or Wallace or Gordon, and now Gordon, of course, Gordon's first race was Petty's last race. Bill Elliott, who's Chase's dad. Who else? Mark Martin came along in the 80s. Who's who of NASCAR royalty. And they're getting that. It's that old saying that I keep getting older, the girls stay the same age. I keep getting older, and the young guys are still young. And with every generation, you see that. You see the fall off in the old guys. Very rare. It's very rare to have a guy in his 40s that is competitive, let alone his 50s. And I believe when he retired, he was 52. When Richard hung it up in 92. He was right around there. And so, and when he finally retired, Petty Autosport, they just haven't been able to recapture the magic and have any sustained success in NASCAR since his retirement. And I think that he's looking to step back even further from the ownership, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's been selling off, consolidating his assets over the last decade, is because he knows it's not long and he'll be gone. And Kyle never, I also think that, the other big thing that's hurt Petty is the loss of Adam. because Adam was the heir apparent. Adam was 19. He was a hot young prospect. He was the Petty legacy. He was the next Petty. It was Lee Petty, who is Richard's dad, was an all-time great. First 3-time NASCAR champion. And then, of course, there was Richard. And then Kyle was Kyle. Kyle was never going to be Richard. He wasn't going to be Lee. He wasn't going to be his dad. He wasn't going to be his granddad. But Adam had everything that you want. He was good-looking. He was charming. He was talented. And he died in a practice crash at, I want to say New Hampshire. Loudon.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole Petty organization has been in a tailspin ever since. And I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with just being rudderless when everything you staked your future on and it's gone in an instant, in the blink of an eye, your future is kaput. It's all but impossible to recover from that. And it's one of those because that's what he would have wanted us to do kind of things. Welcome back, Gerald.
I'm going to eat, then be back.
Cool.
Okay.
And the other thing, but I wanted to talk about too, was Coy Gibbs. Joe's passed away at 49.
Yeah. So it's not young, but it's not old either.
No.
49 is like perfectly middle aged.
Yep. Right there at 50. Right there at the mid. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
You can take that however you want. I thought you were 29.
Well, I appreciate that, but no. But thanks.
But you know what I mean? Like you're not an old guy at 50. You're not an old guy at 49. You're still and now I haven't heard what was it's such a shame because his son, Coy's son, had just won the Xfinity Championship earlier on Saturday.
Oh.
And they had been partying. And Coy had gone back. I assume it was a hotel or the motorhome. I'm not sure where he was staying. And he never woke up.
They said it was a neurological disorder.
Oh, dear.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know, but if it was like a lupus situation,
An aneurysm,
or Lou Gehrig's disease, or something along
an
those lines.
aneurysm.
Yeah, I mean,
An aneurysm would be my guess.
Could be an aneurysm.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Could have been a stroke.
Yep, a stroke.
He may have suffered a massive stroke in his sleep and died. I don't know, and I hate to speculate because I'm neither a neurologist nor his doctor. It goes back to what we were talking about a couple weeks ago about getting yourself checked out.
Yep. Get a physical. I go every year.
Get a physical. Yeah.
Yep. I go every year.
And sometimes those things just happen. Not a horrible way to go though. Quietly in the night.
Yeah.
Similar to the way that Andre the Giant passed away. Same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think he had a stroke or something in his sleep. But again, Andre's problem is that he was so big that his heart.
Well, he had that disease.
Yeah.
Giantism. I don't remember the technical term for it.
Andre was a different human.
Andre was a whole different animal. Andre was a species unto himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a monster. He was a monster among monsters.
Yep.
King Kong.
He was the first wrestler that could move like the first big guy who was still yet athletic.
To move. Yep.
He paved the way for a lot of Big Show.
I was gonna ask, how about those two facing each other in their primes?
Big Show and Andre.
The Giant. How cool would that match have been?
Monsters of wrestling. I do mean monsters.
Yeah. That would have been great. That would have been great
to see those two guys in their prime fight against each other. Oof, that'd be a lot.
Can you imagine them as a tag team? 1,000 pounds of beef.
Yeah.
Although knowing the WWE would have been something. Yeah, a combined 1,000 pounds. 1,000 pounds of beef.
I'll take 1,000 pounds of beef
Yep.
with the
Right.
rings to go.
Yeah, that would have been something else. Those two in the ring working together. You know, it's funny because we all know. I don't think I'm spoiling anything for anyone here, but wrestling's fake. So who do you put over though? Who do you put over though?
No.
I don't know.
Flip a coin.
That's a good
Flip a coin.
question. I don't know. In that match, I
Does it-
wouldn't know. I don't know.
Well, it depends on who's the heel. Because if Andre's the heel and Big Show's the face, then Andre does something dirty, gets himself disqualified, which gets Show over, but Andre doesn't lose, right?
Correct.
I think that's how I would play it. I would have Andre get a weapon or some kind of low blow, something to get himself disqualified, and then of course you're gonna turn into a brawl.
Yeah.
And then you build that into like at Mania, have it be a no disqualification match, and have them in a street brawl or something. I think that would be the angle that I would play.
Yeah, I want
Fantasy.
to say I saw something about like maybe it had been a YouTube clip a while back that had listed like 10 dream matches, and that was one of the matches was Big Show versus Andre the Giant because they were the two big guys that could move. They were not just standing there like walls. They were able to move, and that's
like the Great Khali.
He just stands there. Khali just stands. I mean,
he's so.
Umas can move. The newest big guy can move.
Victor Kozlov.
Braun Strowman's a big guy. He can move.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, Strowman's got a lot of talent.
Brock Lesnar.
I think
Lesnar.
Yeah, but he's only like 6'4" though, isn't he? 6'5".
Yeah, he's not as tall as a Strowman or Andre and Big Show, all of them. Yeah.
I think that's the big thing. It's like Andre and Show were not only were they heavy, but they were tall.
Yeah.
And Lesnar is 6'4", 295. That's he's an NFL lineman, and those guys can move. And as we I know some of you know, but some of you might not know. He played collegiate
Football.
Yeah, and he was a collegiate wrestler. Lesnar was a collegiate wrestler and an all-time great wrestler.
He was Minnesota, right? Golden Gopher.
Yeah, Minnesota. Yep, he was a Gopher. And he had a tryout with the Vikings. He was a practice squad player and played in a couple preseason games.
So he's wrestling and fake wrestling.
Yeah. Yep. He was an accomplished wrestler at Notre Dame, Minnesota. He's a very good wrestler. And I don't think of Brock as one of those big guys like a Andre or a Show. Because of his background, his pedigree. It's hard. I don't really, you really don't think of big guys, tall guys. Braun Strowman comes to mind, other than Andre and Show as being maybe Kane, Undertaker, those two. But if it wasn't for Andre, we don't get Taker doesn't get a shot. Kane doesn't get a shot, because and the thing about it is that the kind of guys that McMahon was recruiting in the early 90s to WWE or WWF at the time were beefcakes, for want of a better term. Like Lex Luger, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, guys that look really good without the shirts on, right? And here comes Andre at Kevin Nash. Who's the other one that came in with him? Scott Hall, DDP.
Diamond Dallas Page, yeah.
Diamond Dallas Page, good looking guys. And guys that looked good. And that could move and could wrestle. But they weren't like huge monsters. And then here comes Andre, and Andre's a monster. He's just huge. And he didn't speak English. He spoke very little English. He's French.
Yep.
And, you know, he was able to tell a story by being able to. That was the thing, was he didn't tell a story on the mic. He told a story through his moves and through being big. And he used that to his advantage. He was big. My favorite Andre story is Ted DiBiase Jr. was, you know, he was always around his father growing up. And he knew Andre, and Andre, you know, of course, Andre was always really good with the kids of the wrestlers. And there was one time, his hand, and Ted was like 8, 10, somewhere in there, or maybe 11. Andre's hand was as big around as DiBiase Jr.'s head. And he went like that, palmed DiBiase, picked him up, and put him on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Just absolutely grabbed it. And we all know, you know, but the big thing is he was always in so much pain because he was so big. Is he self-medicated with alcohol.
Yeah, big time.
And it really messed him up. You know, you got to be careful with your substances. You know.
Well, but correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a photo of him and Stephanie McMahon when Steph was young? She was just a little girl sitting on his lap, and she was so small compared to him. He was like here. She looked like a baby doll, like a baby doll you buy in a store for a little girl. That's how little Stephanie was compared to Andre. Yeah. Andre was a different. He was in a whole class all by himself. That's just. That's who he was. We can talk about wrestling because I have some wrestling topics we can go into.
No, absolutely. You know, and Andre paved the way for a lot of guys coming along.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Let me see here. So this is from Bleacher Report. So let me see exactly. Okay, so Mia Yim comes back to help out the OC, which is AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, Earl Anderson, as they face off with Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Rhea Ripley, who are the Judgment Day. That was started by Edge. They obviously attacked Edge and threw him out. But I think the big news is, from what I've been reading, is it looks like that John Cena is coming back to WrestleMania 39. I don't know in what form or what shape he's coming back. Is he going to come back and maybe finally win that title that puts him over Ric Flair's record? I don't know. I don't know what the idea is.
I don't know.
Is set
John Cena.
And there's a guy that really has never really been a heel in his career. Very few times.
Early in his career, you might say he was kind of a heel during his gangster days, but even then, he wasn't really that much. He wasn't like a true bad guy of wrestling. He was still.
No.
He was always a little kid favorite. He was always, you know.
Right.
I grew up in church in a very conservative part of the country, and very much, you know, holy rollers, definitely gripped by the satanic panic of the 1980s. And the one thing that always got over with all those kids was wrestling. And there were so many John Cena t-shirts when I was growing up. John Cena was it. John Cena was so over. I know a lot of older wrestling fans don't like John Cena, but God, when I was a kid, John Cena was so over. So over.
Nephew liked him too.
There's a lot of John Cena gets a lot of heat from wrestling experts for whatever it is take that with a mind of salt. But because he doesn't put other guys over. But listening to other wrestlers talk about wrestling John Cena, and they have nothing but the most positive things to say about wrestling John Cena. You know, they always say John Cena is great to work with. You know, John Cena was awesome. You know, I've never heard a bad thing about John Cena as a person or as a wrestler.
No.
I just think that I know he stepped away. I know he's he's an actor with his TV show.
Right.
And I forget the name of the character he played
Peacemaker.
in Suicide Squad. There you go, Peacemaker. Thank you. That TV show, I think, is being renewed for another season.
What's it?
I'm not surprised. It was a huge hit.
It's called Peacemaker.
Oh yeah, heard of it.
On HBO.
Yeah, he played the character in the Suicide Squad movie.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Suicide Squad movie, yeah.
And he was great.
I thought the second Suicide Squad, or the latest one, was really good. I know
I enjoyed it.
Gave it hell, but it's, what do you expect out of a comic book movie than that?
I liked it.
Like, I'm not going to go into tomorrow looking. I mean, what I want to know about tomorrow is how are they going to have a movie, Black Panther, without Chadwick Boseman? I want to see how they play his character, how they get it out of it. Did he die? How do they
pivot?
Correct. How do they pivot out of his death is what I want to know. How they
Right.
did that.
I didn't know he was sick.
Either did I. He hid that.
Yeah.
No one knew except for his whole, his inner circle. No one.
Yeah,
knew.
like his immediate family. Like Marvel knew. They have a plan. I don't know the plan.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how they pivot with him and what they do with the Black Panther character now that Chadwick. I'm sorry, but that's a character that can't be played by anyone else.
I agree.
Right.
I feel the same way about
Heath Ledger.
Wolverine.
Oh well, yeah, he's coming
You
back
mentioned,
too.
okay, I'll take that.
I'm
Yeah.
happy he's coming back for Deadpool.
Yeah. I don't know. The Joker for me is tough because so many guys have played him. Whether it was Cesar Romero in the '60s,
Yes.
or Nicholson in the '80s.
Yep.
I mean, Mark Hamill's Joker is by far the best.
Yeah.
Oh, he plays a great Joker. The voice, he's got that voice.
Yeah, he's got that voice.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the Joker voice, man.
Yep.
And then he it's unfortunate that he was one and done.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Well, he didn't he play him in the video games, in a couple video games. The voice of the Joker. I thought he did. Maybe I could be wrong.
What about
Hamilton.
What about from the Joker movie?
Mark Hamill. Joaquin Phoenix. He was good as the Joker.
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill was the voice, and Heath Ledger was the live action in 2008. And that's who it's Mark
Ledger was the
Heath Ledger being one and done.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Gave it his all, and it cost him his life.
Overdosed on
Yeah.
medication. Yep.
I'll do it to you.
Anyway,
Funny, we were just talking about that too with Andre, doing that with alcohol. That's how people deal with pain, is they will take pain medication, they'll drink, whatever they can do to get rid of the pain. They don't care what they're doing as far as destroying their body. They just want to get rid of the pain. So when you have pain like that, and I think Heath Ledger was more, depression. I don't know.
yeah, it was mental
at that time.
Well, what I've heard is he locked himself away for hours on end in a room with a notebook to get into the Joker character, and it messed him up, and he wasn't able to get back.
Yeah,
and he ended up overdosing on I don't even want to something like heroin or something like that.
Did DeVito? I think he did the same thing with the Penguin character.
Yeah.
In the second Batman movie with Keaton. They said that when he took the role, he would sit alone at lunch. He wouldn't eat dinner with any of the cast. He wanted to be a loner because that part played him being by himself a lot. So he played that role. Guessing Heath Ledger took the same kind of path, is don't bother me. I'm supposed to be by myself. It helped him getting the character, obviously, like you said, and he was unable to get back to reality. He was unable to come back to his normal self, and that's ended up costing him his life in the end of it. But
that's what I've heard, at least. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I've heard. You know, check on your happy friends.
Yeah. So Lou, tell me real quick, because the U.S. World Cup team was announced. Was there any surprises for you? Who made the team? Who didn't make the team?
I think they got the last right. 27 participants in the starting line, but of course there will be maybe some alternates in case of for some reason any last minute players get injured and whatnot. So I think they have a right. And hey, it's only a week and a half away now until we started.
I was gonna say it's not far away from the World Cup starting up, right?
Oh,
Over 20th.
13 days away.
Okay.
No, I take it back. 10.
Is it starting November 12th? Or
20th.
20th. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so we're 10 days away.
Yeah.
In Qatar, right? That's the country that's hosting it?
Yeah, however you say it.
Okay. And another real quick thing, guys. I see that Brittany Griner was moved to a Russian penal colony. Yeah. So that's, I guess, the next stage of what's going on with her sentence in Russia. The 9 years that she's going to be facing in Russia. Again, my opinion is just make sure when you go to a foreign country, you check and make sure that you don't have anything illegal, because their laws are different than they are here. There are laws in the different countries that are there. So the Live Golf Tour has concluded their first season, so they are done with their event. Greg Norman, I believe, is being moved to a different role within the Live Tour. Former mate is taking over his spot. Tiger Woods is back playing.
He'll be playing this week. The Hero Challenge.
Yeah,
there'll be another install of the match, and he'll take part of it.
The match. Correct. He will be part of both.
It's a better name, though. I mean, what kind of name is the match? Because really more creative.
It's been that way since they did it with Tom and him and Mickelson and them. It was that way the first time out.
I mean, you got the Masters, you got the U.S. Open, you got the Open, and you got PGA, and all you come up with is the match.
Well, I liked, the first one made sense, right?
Yeah.
You had Phil and Tom against Peyton and Tiger. That was the first.
Right.
Or no, I'm sorry. I rephrased that. It was Tiger versus Phil, 1-on-1. That was the very
right, and it made sense for it to be the match.
Yeah. Then it moved on up after that. The match 2, the match 3. It went on. I guess they can't come up with names.
two
right
matches.
Mm-hmm.
So here, guys, real quick, this is on golf.com, and we can go on to another topic after this. These are the 11 toughest tee times in America. So these are the 11 toughest golf courses, I guess, to get on to. Anybody want to take a guess at what number 1 is? Anybody want to take a guess at what number 1 is?
Augusta.
Cha-ching. Tell him what he's won.
Yeah.
Augusta National is number 1. Number 2 is Chicago Club in Wheaton, Illinois.
Yeah.
Crystal Downs Country Club, Frankfort, Michigan is number 3.
Really?
Cypress Point Golf Club in Monterey, California is 4. Garden City Golf Club in Garden City, New York is number 5. Fisher Island Club in Fisher Island, New York is also on that list.
Yeah.
The Nanya Golf Club in the Big Island in Hawaii. You have Apakui Match Club in Cobbletown, Georgia. Pine Valley Golf Club in Pine Valley, New Jersey. Seminole Golf Club in Juno Beach, Florida. Sand Hills Club in Mullen, Nebraska is the top 11. I've never even heard of the one. How far are you from the golf course in New Jersey?
What was the town name again?
The town name there. Hang on, let me bring the article back up. Let me bring it back up in. Let's see here. I believe. Let's see. It was. There's New York. Pine Valley, New Jersey.
Okay, I said they more towards the shore area, so it's a little bit. That's a little further away from here.
Okay,
and Nebraska things because you got to do all that corn. I mean, it's gonna be kind of tough to play on that.
Especially if the children are out.
Yes,
the shorter the corner out to take your golf balls away from you.
Yeah,
they're in the corner waiting to receive golf.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm gonna keep my comment about that to myself.
Okay.
Do we let the children play through?
No, I was gonna say they don't have flat balls there, so Brady won't be playing.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Hard.
Yeah.
So we could talk NBA basketball real quick. It looks like they're entertaining an idea of putting a team in Mexico, Mexico City. The NBA is
interesting.
Entertaining.
Oh yeah, the cucarachas. Right.
That's interesting. To play outside of the U.S.
Well, Toronto.
So why not?
Toronto, they have one team in Toronto anyway, so you might as well go.
Yeah, Vancouver, they moved to Memphis.
What are they gonna call it? The Mexican tequilas?
No, actually, it's the cucarachas. They kill me.
Yeah.
The
cockroaches, huh?
Jalapenos.
Yeah. On a stick. Jalapenos on a stick. Jeff's on them on a stick. Stick.
What about
Jeff Dunham? He's coming to Austin sometime next year.
What about the Chupacabra?
Yeah.
That'd be a cool name.
Yeah.
And it's not unprecedented.
We're gonna call that franchise. Yeah.
Because the New Jersey Devils exist.
They do.
So mystical creatures are always an option. I kind of like Chupacabra.
They could go that.
It means goat sucker.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Oh, great. That talking goes back.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Look, Taco Bell.
By the way, for those of you who speak Spanish, we're going to put this on Telemundo later on. Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't speak Spanish, it will be on YouTube. So
yeah,
check it out there.
And Univision too.
Just remember, Loquero Taco Bell.
Yes. See?
We're going to need a bigger box.
Need a bigger box.
So it looks like, according to the power rankings, I'm not even going to click on the link because it's too early to decide that. But it looks like I wanted to say that it looks like Luka is the front runner for MVP. Again, I know it's early.
I would think so.
It's early in the season to say that, but it'd be interesting to see him actually win it. I mean, nothing against Giannis, but I mean, still, Luka's a great player.
He's already won one.
Yep.
Have you heard anything about Kyrie getting cut?
He's getting cut. I mean,
I just pulled that up, but yeah.
Nike and Kyrie are done. Done.
It's fake.
He got suspended 5 games, right?
Yes,
correct.
But Nike and Kyrie are done.
Yes, that is real. I did see that. That is real. Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah, this was getting into more trouble. I mean, this was 2 weeks ago. He did make the apology. Yeah, I know it's a little bit late, but the damage is still coming.
Well, I mean, for me, what it is like you know, we all agree that racism is bad, right?
It's stupid.
It's not up for debate, not up for discussion, right? Racism is bad. Okay? They run Donald Sterling out of the league because he was a racist. Okay? So how is it okay for someone to be anti-Semitic?
It isn't.
If we all agree that bigotry is wrong, bigotry of all kinds is wrong,
Yes.
so then he needs to be done. And you know, I could understand if somebody was like, hey, I wanted to learn more about this so I could understand it better. You know, I understand that, you know, freedom of speech, whatever, your freedom of association. I wanted to understand this stuff. I don't, you know, like, you know, I'm just making it, you know, I just wanted to learn more about it. I don't support it. But when you won't say, you know, and even saying I recommend this book, you know, even recommending a book by a racist or an anti-Semite, you know, hey, check out this book if you really want to understand more about what these people think. You know, that could be, you know, I could see a place where I could, you know, a place of understanding where, oh, okay, I get where you're coming from. I see what you're trying to say. You know, but for me, it's not that he's essentially endorsing anti-Semitism at this point.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And I'd be happy to hear somebody else tell me I'm wrong, because, you know, that's the way that, you know, as someone who has Jewish ancestry, that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as, you all hate racism, and you all run the racist guy out of the league for being a racist, which is fine, perfectly acceptable. You know, being a racist is bad. So if we're gonna run the racists out of the league, we gotta run the anti-Semites out of the league, because we can't have bigotry. Bigotry has no place in society. And if it's okay for this person to do it because he's a really good player, if we're gonna give him a pass because he's a really good player, then I guess Donald Sterling gets the Clippers back.
You know, I'm glad you brought up that Jewish ancestor there, Adam, because you don't know this. I don't know if you know this, but my last name is Polish.
Right.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
When I was going through school, people would call me Polak.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is an offensive term for someone from Poland.
You know, I laughed about it. I thought it was funny.
Right. Obviously, the best way to defeat a racist is to laugh at them. Don't give them any power.
Right.
You know, as someone who's ethnically, you know, it's not anything I can confirm. My mom took a DNA test, 1%, but the family name on my mother's side is Arko, Arko, and it's Ashkenazi, and it means from the tribe of Aaron. And so, you know, my dad's side of the family, my dad's biological dad, my biological grandfather on my dad's side, his name was Jankowski, which is also Polish.
And and now my mom's side of the family, I have Irish and Dutch.
Right.
And French. Because my mom's mom was from France.
Okay. So those are my thoughts. I'm glad we were able to talk about it, because I was going to bring that up at some point.
Yeah.
But because I was thinking about that last week. I mean, you know, I get that he's done some good things in the community. That's fine. I'm on for charity and whatnot. But you know, just doing some charity work doesn't excuse being a bigot. In my book.
Correct.
You know, and if we're gonna sit here and call out all the bigots, all the racists, well, we're gonna call them all out.
Mm-hmm.
3-0 in this game. Panthers up.
Takeable.
So, guys, Dusty Baker signed another 1-year contract with the Astros.
Yep.
I knew that was coming after they won the World Series. I knew that was coming.
He's earned it.
Here's
Wow.
Do you think the only reason he signed a 1-year contract is this will be his last year, no matter what?
Probably.
Yes.
Potentially. I kind of like. He's what, 76?
76. I know he's in his mid to late 70s. So
Yeah.
Manager. Yep.
So you sign a 1-year deal. If you're still having fun, sign another one.
Yeah.
If you're still having fun after that, sign another one. But then you're not stuck in a commitment. And the other thing is like the Astros aren't stuck in a 4-year deal for $120 million a year that they're gonna have to buy him out at in 3 years if the Astros stink again.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're and let's say they sign him to a 4-year deal in 2026, and the Astros are 44 or 38 and 44 at the All-Star break, and they're like, we really like to move on from him, and we like to, we got this up and coming young prospect. Let's just throw a name out there. Let's say Albert Pujols is now, or Matt Holliday. Let's say Matt Holliday because he's a bench coach in St. Louis now. He's in his 40s. He's young. He's a hot prospect, and we'd like to bring him in, but we've got $25 million on the books with Dusty Baker, and we really can't. So it's a win-win for both sides. It's a win-win for both sides. Neither side makes a lot. And if Dusty's like, at the end of the year, he's like, I'm done. I'm set.
Okay.
Sorry. Car alarm across the street. I just want to make sure it wasn't mine.
Okay.
I'm not cooking. But so anyway, if it,
911.
Yeah.
again, like I was saying, so to finish what I was saying, it's a win-win for both sides. No one, Dusty doesn't have to commit to a long-term deal. The Astros don't have to commit long-term. If at the end of 2023, the Astros are, they finish 81 and 81 and miss the playoffs, and Dusty's like, I'm done. This just wasn't fun. Not having fun. Losing stinks. He gets to go out, and everybody else forget this year, this 2023. They'll want to remember that. They'll remember 2022. So good deal. Oh, by far.
Yeah.
Several manager of the year a couple of times. Got a ring. They're on over 1,000 wins. Probably pushing 2,000 now.
Probably.
So
yeah.
I mean, and helped to stabilize a franchise in Houston. A franchise that could have easily gone into a tailspin after the scandal in 2019.
Well, didn't he when he managed the Reds? I think he brought them out of the cellar for a little while too.
Yep.
For a few seasons, and then they went back.
Took the Giants to the World Series in 2002.
The Cubs too, in the early 2000s. He was the manager there. They lost to the Marlins, the famous team.
Right. Yeah.
Manager.
Which was only Game 6, I'll have you know.
Yes, it was. Yes,
You mean with 5 outs away,
Well, they were 32 outs away. I mean, at the end of the day, all they got so hung up on that one play, the Cubs, that they were never able to get it back.
No.
And they lost Game 7, and they went into a tailspin. And it took them 15 years to get it right.
But they finally.
And so
14, I think
16.
16. They won the World Series.
Yeah, 16. Beat the Indians, much to my chagrin. Anyway, no. So yeah. And what, tomorrow starts free agency?
Yes. Yeah. Of course, the teams can send offer sheets just like they do in hockey. Same thing.
Right.
You offer your free agents offer sheets. They have the right to decline them.
Yep.
Justin Verlander turned down a $25 million deal with the Astros. So
I don't know if he's looking for more money or if he just wants to come back, or if he wants to come back for Detroit for one more year, close out his career in Detroit, or if he's all done. I mean, he does kind of have that beautiful woman called Kate Upton. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah, he can.
I would take my World Series ring and call it a day.
Yeah,
he's got 2 of them now. He's a lock for the Hall of Fame. got the World Series monkey off his back.
Right.
He's had some injury issues over the last 2 or 3 years.
Probably.
I'm wondering if he isn't all done.
I would probably say maybe that's why he declined the offer, is because he might say, I'm going to retire. There's nothing more I need to prove. You know,
He's done it all. Been to the top of the mountain twice now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be I'm sure he makes it the first year he's eligible.
I can't imagine him not. 4 World Series appearances, 2 rings, 300 plus wins.
Yeah. How many Cy Young?
I mean,
1, 2,
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Couple, 2, 3.
I think he's.
I mean, I want to say 2. Say 06 and 11, 13, something like that.
But he's up for one this year.
Is he up for the Cy this year?
He's up for the Cy this year.
I did not know he was up for the Cy Young this year.
Oh yeah.
I don't. He probably won't win it this year.
Who outpitched him in the American League? Wasn't Shane McClanahan for the Rays? So who was it? Who else would you?
I would have to know who else was on the list. I just don't feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think Verlander does win. I really honestly think he does win this.
I didn't watch too terrible much baseball this past year. So I don't know. I just didn't feel like he popped off the page. So maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers and see who else is available. Who else is in the running.
I know Shane McClanahan is for the Rays. I don't know who else would.
Maybe Garrett Cole in New York. Shohei Ohtani.
Not Garrett
Ohtani?
Cole. No. I'll get to it. Ohtani's going to be up there.
Ohtani's coming back to the Angels. He already signed a
Correct.
1-year extension with them.
And they're not going to trade him.
He's going to get major bank next year.
Well,
that's all that means. He's going to end up getting major bank next season. I don't think he'll be in LA either. I see him going elsewhere. Dodgers, Phillies, Yankees, somebody else that can pay him. Something like that.
Okay, the Cy Young Awards will be announced on Wednesday.
Okay.
That's again.
Wednesday of
the
Next
16th.
this Wednesday coming up, the 16th.
Okay.
Cy Young, Dylan Cease of the White Sox. This is the American League.
Dylan CC. Okay.
Alex Mahon of the Cleveland Bluebirds. Justin Verlander of the Astros.
Maybe it is.
No, okay.
Justin Bieber.
Hello.
Shane Bieber.
Yes, Shane Bieber's cousin. Sandy Alcantara from the Fish.
Marlins. Yep. Okay.
Max Fried of the Braves.
Braves. Okay.
And Julio Urias of the Dodgers.
Okay. I think he was there.
Or is
I think
it
he was their ace this year in LA.
Talking
Or
about
is it during the
Astros. I just read something here. Justin Verlander declines $25 million Astro option, becomes free agent.
Yep.
Right. We were just talking about that. I think you're right. I think Verlander wins the Cy Young. I think you're right. Looking at the numbers, he's got the best numbers of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
18 wins, 4 losses, 1.75 ERA. Yeah.
You can't miss that.
200 plus innings pitched.
Yep.
It's gonna. Yeah, I think you're right. Hard to argue with the numbers, man.
Correct. Should we move to college football with the 1 hour mark happening?
We shall.
Let's do it.
before we get into
You got the game on, Lou?
I'm not able to get that because I don't have the Prime service. So I got on the Devils game.
Oh, you're watching Devils tonight? The Rangers are playing the Wings right now.
Yeah, so they're playing each other.
I got the Falcons and Panthers game on.
What's the score? Still 3-0?
Panthers 3, Falcons nothing.
Okay. I'll be right back. I'm gonna.
Okay. Deion Sanders wants Jackson State to be in a bowl game. How do you guys feel about that?
What's their record?
What is their record? I think they have 6 wins. I believe
6
they
wins.
have 6
They're
wins.
eligible, but I forgot they were Division I AA. I thought they were like Division II.
I don't think they're in division. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. They're undefeated. They're 9-0.
Ah.
5th ranked team in the FCS. So they are 9-0 right now.
See, that's the thing, because they're in the FCS and they're not in the same league as the FBS, which has the bowl game. So although he does make a good argument for it, it just isn't like it's going to happen. The only time you
Correct.
have that is during the.
He wants it to happen, but
the only time that
I don't think it
FCS and FBS play together is in the so-called cream puff week, or now known as week 0.
right. I was looking at bowl predictions, and what used to be the Outback Bowl, it's now called the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Yeah.
That's who they changed sponsors. The prediction right now is Florida State versus Kentucky. Now, remember that bowl game was Big Ten versus SEC. Now it's ACC versus SEC. So
interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have the prediction was FSU Kentucky. So I don't know.
That could be a fun game.
I don't know if Outback had the rights to say, hey, we want Big Ten versus SEC, and that's it. Now
I'm not sure.
I think everybody's mixed in now, so that bowl game could be anybody, which is good. I think the more you open it up for everyone else to play, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. Let's see what this is before we dive into the rankings, and then of course we'll go through all the games from last week, and then go through the ones coming up this week. All right. So as of right now, the top 4 are as follows: Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. Tennessee is ranked 5th, so TCU has their chance to make the playoff in their own hands now for the rest of the season.
Yeah, their destiny's in their own hands. I think the top 4, honestly, in Gerald's chat, Peyton, I believe his name is Peyton Jones.
Yeah.
Peyton Jones.
A bit of a slappy.
He's a huge Tennessee guy.
He's a bit of a slappy. And I wanted to comment, but I never did. My comment was, I guess should have beaten Georgia. Should have beat Georgia. Should have beat Georgia. And I thought they were gonna lose. I had Georgia, and after the first quarter, I'm surprised that Tennessee hung in that game as well as they did, because it was 21-3, and they looked shell shocked. They looked absolutely shell-shocked. And I thought I had Georgia by a mile and then some. So, Georgia Tennessee played a better second half, not great. And honestly, at the end of the day, you had your shot and you blew it.
Right.
So now you're number 4, you're number 5 looking in, on the outside looking in. And TCU, the top 4 haven't lost to anybody. We've all played everybody, and we've beaten everybody, and until somebody beats us.
Yeah.
Do I think Tennessee? Do I think that TCU can beat Georgia? No, not on this planet, not at this given time. But do they deserve a shot more than Tennessee? Absolutely, because Tennessee lost to Georgia.
Right.
And if we were sitting here, if it had flipped the script and Georgia had lost, and Tennessee was, Tennessee was the clear number 1, and Tennessee was 1, and Georgia Georgia would be 5.
Right.
TCU deserves a shot at Georgia or Ohio State or Michigan. And, of course, we all know that the Ohio State-Michigan game is probably going to be a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
With 3 weeks to go. Neither one of us have a really daunting opponent ahead of us before we get into that game. So
correct.
And then one of us will have one loss and then we're out.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that I think Tennessee But I think Tennessee will be the 4th team anyway.
You think they're going to have 2 SEC teams?
Yeah, probably. It's the SEC bias.
It would be Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State, or Michigan. Then who would be the 4th team?
TCU, as long as they win out.
Okay.
If TCU wins out,
yeah.
So
Georgia, go ahead.
My Horns are going to beat TCU. There ain't no question in my mind.
Yeah,
that's this week. That's
this
week too.
Yeah.
So any games, guys, surprise you outside the Notre Dame LSU wins last week? I don't really think.
Bama and LSU.
Yeah.
No. Didn't surprise me at all. I wasn't surprised. I thought Bama was going to win, but I'm not surprised LSU won. Right. I was a bit surprised Notre Dame beat the brakes off of Clemson.
That was a big surprise. That was a very big surprise.
Clemson.
But Clemson's had quite a few scares this year already, so almost lost to Wake Forest, almost lost to Syracuse.
Yeah.
So not surprised.
I mean, Wake Forest to me is always going to be a basketball school.
Yeah, they've done some nice things over the last 3 years in college football. Really thought they were going places, but back to the basement for you.
So here is the top 25 scoreboard for this week's games. We will start tomorrow on Veterans Day. Colorado is on the road in LA to play the Trojans. USC is a 34.5-point favorite with the over-under being
USC.
Let's see the over and the points.
Okay.
Ugly and early.
A noon game as Indy. I'll be. My game starts at noon on Saturday too. Indiana travels to Columbus. The Buckeyes are a 40-point favorite with the over/under being 59.
The
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. I think Indiana covers 40 is a lot.
Okay. Tennessee is at home against Missouri. The Volunteers are a 20.5-point favorite with the over/under being 57.
Tennessee
the points in the over.
Tennessee.
The number 7 Tigers travel to Fayetteville to play the Razorbacks. LSU is a 3.5-point favorite with the over/under being 62.
LSU.
Give me the Hogs in an upset.
The Hogs in an upset. Okay. All right.
And I'll explain that why as soon as we get done with the scoreboard.
Sure.
Notre Dame is on the road in Baltimore on a neutral site game against Navy. The Irish are a 15.5-point favorite with the over/under being 39.5.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, the points in the over.
Okay. The next game is the Big 12 as Purdue travels to Champaign to play the Illini. Illinois is a 6.5-point favorite with the over/under being 44.5.
Illinois, the points in the under.
Yeah, I take Illinois.
Okay.
I'm taking Illinois too.
The next game is in the SEC. Vanderbilt is on the road in Lexington to play the Wildcats. Kentucky's an 18-point favorite with the over-under being 47.5.
Only 18 to being too high. I mean, Kentucky's going to destroy them. Vanderbilt's pathetic.
3-6, 0-5 in the SEC.
Losers.
I'm going Kentucky.
Yes, if this was a mathlete, give me Vanderbilt. But unfortunately, it's football, so give me Kentucky.
When I was in Nashville, I was taking Ralph was driving me around the city of Nashville, and we passed by Vanderbilt University.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
But they're a medical school, not a football school.
Correct. They are a medical
Well, it's
school.
Harvard.
The next game is in Ann Arbor as Nebraska travels to play the Wolverines. Michigan's a 31-point favorite with the over-under being 48.5.
Michigan.
31-point favorite with the over. Good God, how do you even get to 48 and 31? So Michigan would have to get to 48 and still be 31 points. Good God, that's a crazy number. Give me Michigan. Give me the cover, and give me the over.
Okay, right.
That's crazy numbers. 31, because that's 31 to 17, but you don't cover.
No.
Michigan would have to score 48 on their own to be able to get over and still cover. Correct. Yeah, that's a lot of work, boys. So
Yeah.
give me Michigan, but give me Nebraska to cover and give me the over. I've like 42-17, 42-14, something like that.
Here's my upset game of the week right here. Alabama travels to Oxford to play the Rebels of Ole Miss. Alabama's a 12-point favorite. The over/under is 64.5. I think Ole Miss upsets them.
Yeah,
I'm going Ole Miss.
I'm going
Bama, and I'll explain why as soon as we're done with the scoreboard. Then all plays back into each other.
3:30. The Clemson Tigers are at home against Louisville. Clemson's a 7-point favorite with the over/under being 50.
Panthers are beating up on the Falcons.
Is it 10 to nothing?
It's going to be 10-0.
Ugh.
Okay.
Clemson's a 7-point favorite with the over/under being 52.
Clemson and who?
Louisville.
Ooh, Clemson and Louisville. Give me Louisville in an upset.
Okay.
I'm
They're
going to
6-3
Louisville.
this year. They beat USF. I know that. I watched that.
And they can get turnovers. So give me Louisville in an upset.
God knows. Okay. The next game is in Happy Valley. Maryland comes to town to visit the Nittany Lions. Penn State's a 10-point favorite. Over/under being 57.
Sorry, Lou. I'm going upset number 3. Give me Maryland.
The Terrapins. Okay. Okay. All right.
Maryland's sneaky good. Don't sleep on the Terps, man. Don't sleep on the Terps. Give me Maryland.
They're playing in Happy Valley.
They're in Happy Valley. Yep.
Lou, I'm sorry, but I got to go with Adam. Give me the Terrapins.
Maryland. Okay. The next is in the ACC. Boston College comes to Raleigh to play the Wolfpack. NC State's a 19-point favorite with the over/under being 41.
Let's go Wolfpack.
Wolfpack.
Okay. Yep.
Wolfpack.
I agree with that one. The number 22 UCF Knights are on the road in New Orleans to play the number 17 Green Wave. Tulane is a 1.5-point favorite with the over/under being 54.5. Go Green Wave.
Hey. I like that.
Tulane's 5-0 in the AAC this year.
Tulane and who?
UCF.
Oh, yeah, give me Tulane, please.
I'll take Tulane. Yeah, I'll take
Tulane.
Good grief, I hate UCF.
The next game is in Starkville as the Bulldogs take on Mississippi State. Georgia's a 16-point favorite with the over/under being 53.5.
Who let them dogs out?
No, that'd be Kirby Smart.
That's Kirby
Yeah.
Smart. Yep.
Somebody better put a leash on them dogs, or they fixing to run the SEC for the next 10 years.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't
Well-
Mississippi State also the Dogs?
They are. This is
Yeah,
the State
I was gonna
Bulldogs.
Yes, there's two.
What's the next?
There's a lot of dogs in that house.
Yep.
I'm taking
there,
Georgia.
that's correct. The next game, guys, is at 7:00 in the Pac-12. Number 25 Washington visit to Eugene against the Ducks. The Ducks are a 13-point favorite. The over/under is 72.5. Holy
Quack,
crap!
quack. Quack, quack.
Oregon and who?
Washington.
Yeah, Oregon. Sorry. Nope, can't go. Yeah, no.
72.5. That's a lot of points. Holy cow!
It's the Pac-10 football. It's Pac-12 football, though.
I know.
And that's what they do. They score points in bunches.
The
Touchdowns in bunches, man.
Yep. The next game's in the Big 12. Kansas State is on the road in Baylor to play the Bears. The Bears are a 2.5-point favorite with the over/under being 51 and a hook.
Wait,
I'm going upset number 4. Give me the Cats. K-State.
K-State.
I'm going
I'll
Kansas
go
State
Baylor.
too. I'm going Kansas State.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
going to be looking for a rebound after losing to Texas.
The next game is the TCU Texas game in Austin. The Longhorns are a 7-point favorite with the over/under being 65.
Can't do that.
Longhorns.
Too much. TCU. I'm sorry, Gerald. I'm just breaking everybody's heart today. We don't pick with our heart. We pick with our brain, right?
Hey, Adam, read between the lines.
Yeah, you pick one.
The next one is in the ACC as the number 15 Tar Heels are on the road in Winston-Salem to play Wake. Wake is a 4-point favorite with the over/under being 77.
Whoa! What is it, basketball? Jesus Christ.
Now, wait a minute here, Mr. Brad. Back it
Yes.
up for a minute. They got us picked by 7 points to beat TCU.
Yes. That's what it says. Texas is a
I don't like that line. That line, that's not a, yeah, no. That's where my incredulity,
It's going to be closer than that.
love with your heart, use your brain for everything else.
I think TCU goes into Austin and upsets them. And it'll be a field goal game. Watch it come down to a game-winning.
I think
Not in DKR. Texas is going to come out the winner. Mark my words.
consider the mark.
We are going to upset TCU.
Well, in 3 weeks, I'll be in the same boat though.
Yeah.
So, hey, it's what we love. That's why we love sports, right?
How in the world do they expect North Carolina and Wake Forest to score a combined 77 points? That is
35 each.
That is a
No, it's more than that, isn't it?
What are they
yeah,
smoking?
more.
So is it? No, it's 35. 35 would get you there. 35 each would get you there. That's 80.
What are they
No, 35 and
smoking?
35 is 70.
No, you're right.
40 apiece. would
Yeah.
get you to 80. Yep. 40. They'd have to score 40 points each.
40 each. Jesus.
I would take the under in that
Hey.
game. I would take North Carolina, but the under. There's no way.
What's the spread?
Then next week we'll come on.
And it'll have been 62-57 or something nutty like that.
It'll be some 100-point game that they end up scoring against each other.
Well,
Yeah.
give me the line again.
The line is 4. Wake Forest is the favorite.
Wake Forest by 4, and they want us to get to 77.
Yeah, the line is 77.
That's just nutty. That's just nutty as the Michigan line, 48 and 31. Jesus Christ. I do like North Carolina though. Give me another upset. Give me North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Tar Heels too.
The next game is in the ACC as Florida State goes on the road to play the Orangemen. FSU is a 7-point favorite. The over/under is 51.
Syracuse.
Syracuse in an upset. Okay.
Syracuse and who?
Florida State.
Ooh, yeah.
The no.
Just to stick it to Rich. Give me the Cuse.
Get in the orange. Okay. All right. Hey, I have a bet with him. If FSU beats Florida, I have to wear an FSU hat on the show. So
Right.
That's at the end of the season. It's in a couple weeks from now.
Never stipulated how long you had to wear it for.
Right.
On Black Friday. So I have to wait
Black
for the
Friday.
following week to do that. The next game, guys, is a Pac-12 game as Stanford is on the road to play the Utes. Utah's a 24-point favorite. The over-under is 54.
Utah and who?
Stanford. The Cardinals.
Oh. Huh.
Stanford.
Somebody should remind them that they have a football team. Give me the Utes.
Yeah, I'll take Utah also. Yep.
Okay.
Was it Stanford 3-6?
3-6 and Utah 7-2.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Someone should remind Stanford that they have a basketball team. Unfortunately for them, the band won't be on the field. Give me the Utes.
Right.
The band is on the field.
This weekend, Bradley.
I'm sorry?
Guess what college game day is going to be at?
In Austin?
Yep.
Makes sense. That makes sense. You have
Maybe they should be.
top 5.
It's going to be a whale of a ball game.
Yeah.
But I can't find what channel it's going to be on.
Probably ABC, I would imagine.
Yeah.
They have it listed down on ABC.
So
And the
everybody
last
can
game is in the Pac-12 as the Wildcats of Arizona visit the Rose Bowl in Pasadena to play the Bruins. UCLA is a 20-point favorite. The over-under is 77. I can believe 77 points in the Pac-12.
Yeah. Yeah, when you said 72, I was like, yeah, but it's the Pac-12.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm trying to say it's been the Pac-12 for like, what, 10 years now?
At least.
And I almost said Pac-10.
Old school, huh?
I
Oh, yeah, well.
Pac-10 too. Because it's like, oh, the Pac-10.
It's so ingrained in my brain. It's so ingrained in my brain. It's the Pac-10. Like we used to, the Rose Bowl. It's Pac-10 and the Pac-10 and the Big Ten. Pac-10, Big Ten. But okay, so my conspiracy theory. The reason why I have LSU losing to the Hogs and Bama winning is because if LSU loses out, they lose 2. That would put them with 4 losses. Alabama has 2 losses. Alabama is the SEC West champion. They face Georgia in the
SEC championship
game.
Yeah,
Right? You following me? You see where I'm going with this?
Atlanta. Yep.
Yeah.
Alabama beats Georgia. Georgia falls to 2. It puts Michigan at 1. Okay. Georgia at 2. TCU at 3. Alabama's number 4.
So Tennessee would be out.
And Tennessee's out.
Tennessee's out.
Because
Watching this show, he is not happy right now.
no. But that's my Alabama conspiracy theory. LSU will lose 2 games. We'll lose this week, and then they will lose. I forget who they play in the last game. If they lose. I think it's Ole Miss. They lose to Ole Miss and Arkansas.
Ole Miss because Ole Miss played Mississippi State the Egg Bowls the last game.
Right. Let me look real quick.
I think LSU only has 1 home game left. I think it's this.
A&M. That's who it was.
Oh yeah, they'll beat the Aggies. LSU.
But
Aggies. Texas.
this is my conspiracy theory.
Okay.
LSU loses to the Aggies too, and then that which vaults Alabama back to the top of the SEC West, and Alabama goes and plays the Dogs in the SEC championship game. They win the SEC championship game, and they're an 11-2 SEC champion, and they get in over Tennessee.
Okay.
That's my Alabama conspiracy theory.
Even if Tennessee wins out.
Even because that Tennessee lost to Georgia.
Yeah, Tennessee lost to Georgia. Yeah, that basically whoever won last week's game is going to represent the SEC East. That's it. I mean,
Correct, because I don't see Georgia losing 2 games.
I don't think Georgia's going to lose a game at all.
I don't think Georgia. I don't
championship game. But yeah,
I don't think Georgia loses. I think Georgia wins it all. I have Georgia.
Yeah.
Back-to-back national champions.
Yeah, back-to-back, and they play. And allowing me to be a homer here, but they play Michigan again in the SEC in the
championship game
for all the marbles, and they beat Michigan. Because I think we can beat Columbus, and we go in and we knock Ohio State up in Columbus, and then we face Minnesota or Purdue or whoever, and we crush their hopes and dreams in the Big Ten championship game, kind of like we did Iowa, and then we beat TCU in a close game, spirited contest, and then Georgia beats whoever's number 4, Tennessee, Alabama, SC. Whoever's 4, and then we get the Dogs for a rematch of the semifinal game from last year, and then I cried profusely.
Oh well.
Because I don't think there's a team in college football that can hang with the Dogs right now.
Right.
I just don't see it.
I don't either.
Even when they got punched in the mouth by Mizzou back at the beginning of the year, and everybody's like, "Ooh, look out! There's what's wrong in Athens." Apparently, nothing.
Florida took it to them for a little while, but as you can see, what happens when Georgia adjusts and Florida didn't adjust back. So
yeah. Rutgers gave us the first half of fits, and last week.
Yep, I saw that last.
And reading Michigan Facebook, you thought we lost 52-17, but the thing about it is that it was one block punt. If Nebraska doesn't block that punt, it's 14. If we don't miss the 2 field goals, which were long field goals, they were 50+ yarders, so they weren't exactly. He didn't miss 2 32-yard kicks. He missed 2 50+ yard kicks. And, if they don't block that punt and return it for a touchdown, it's 20-10 at the half.
Yeah.
And then all things being equal, it's 55-10. It's a drubbing. Yeah. And Rutgers is never in the game.
Right.
They usually never are.
But you reading Michigan Facebook, you thought we lost 55-10.
Yeah.
We had a couple of things to clean up, and this goes back to what I say every week in and week out, game in and game out. Okay, guys, the other team, I don't know if y'all know this, but the other team, they're allowed to make plays, and sometimes the other team just makes a better play. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't miss an assignment. Sometimes you just get beat.
I had to change hats. So there you go.
Right.
Had to change hats.
By the way, I hope you're not watching the Rangers.
What's the score? Is it 4-2 now?
You're gonna hate yourself when I tell you the news.
What's
8-2?
What the hell?
Yep.
Fell apart in the third period, huh?
I just read something here, guys. This is coming from ESPN. According to the ESPN Football Power Index, Texas has a 73% chance of beating TCU.
They're at home.
73%?
Yeah.
You can take my 33% chance of beating Kurt Angle at a Vengeance.
And if Texas wins this matchup, this could move them into sole possession of second place. That also would put the Longhorns in the position to control their own destiny and to get a spot in the Big 12 championship.
Right. Hey, yeah, it's not over till it's over. Never say never.
No.
It is now 13-0 Panthers.
You know what? That's good for the Buccaneers.
It's only the second quarter, right?
Yeah, 50, 49, 48, 47 seconds left.
End of the second quarter. I get it.
So the tail was
Thank you, Atlanta, for ruining my day.
the tail for the hat
You're
that
welcome.
I'm wearing right now.
I want to know what the story is.
Yeah,
my
me
uncle,
too.
my uncle, my late uncle, the one that taught me how to play golf, big Gator
Oh, yeah.
fan.
Right.
And to be a Gator fan. So I was on a golf trip with him, and this hat was in the pro shop. And it's a Georgia hat, as you can see. It's a Georgia Bulldog hat. And I bought it, and he looks at me and says, "What the fuck are you buying that hat for?" Now, this is long before, because Georgia really is Florida's rival. I
Right.
know a lot of people say that it's Florida State, but the actual rival is Georgia, Florida. Why do you think we play on a neutral site? We don't play in Gainesville. We don't play in Athens. We play in Jacksonville. And there's a reason why. Because,
Right.
A, the city profits from it. But number two, it's just – but anyway, that's the story of the hat. I wear the hat every once in a while. I have a good friend of mine who's a Georgia fan who would love to see me wear this hat.
You know what?
You know.
It's a good-looking hat, though.
It is. I like the black. I like the black. As you can see, it's got the the dogs right there in the back there.
Right.
But
You're a better fan than I am because you never catch me dead in Scarlet and Gray.
yeah,
Never.
I know.
I need
I
to
know.
send
I know.
Bradley a Texas Longhorn hat.
Nah, I already wear a hat with horns on it. It's fun. The green one.
See,
One with the Texas Longhorns on it.
there are two hats you never catch me in, and Scarlet and Gray, and green and white.
Because then Michigan State.
Yeah. Nope.
Well, not
Nope.
in
Nope.
I may have to wear a Florida State hat. So
Right.
we'll see.
We did in Oklahoma
Yeah,
City. Nope. That ain't happening.
In reference to Scarlet, frankly, I don't give a damn.
I would use.
Franklin, my dear, I don't give a damn.
A hat to wipe my butt with.
I wouldn't even dignify it with that.
Neither would I. No.
My Oklahoma hat. Send it to Gerald.
Send what to me?
Oklahoma Sooners hat.
I burned that mother on camera.
He'll burn it.
I took a gallon of gas
He'll
on it.
set it on
and back
fire.
to it. Don't you dare send
Well-
Don't you dare send that Sooner hat. Don't you dare send
Uh-oh.
it to me.
Well, welcome to the SEC.
Yeah.
Welcome to the SEC because you're coming this way. So, welcome to
I
the
will
SEC.
burn that mother. I will burn it.
Burn it to the ground.
I don't wear this hat very often. I don't wear the Georgia hat a lot, but I bought one
It looks good though.
to give my uncle a hard time, and it is our rival. It is the Gators' rival. It always has been.
Yes.
So, the only team I hate in the SEC is Tennessee. You never see me wear a Tennessee hat.
Right.
not-
Now, why do you hate Tennessee so much? You gotta tell me that story.
Why do I hate Tennessee? I hate Tennessee because of Philip Fulmer. I hate Tennessee because of Rocky Top. I hate Tennessee because of the checkerboard end zone. That's why I hate Tennessee.
I see.
Those are the major reasons. The only good
Rocky Top is awful.
The only good thing that came out of Tennessee was Pat Summitt. That's the only good thing that came out of University of
Yes.
Tennessee. Other than her, that's it. I've never been to Tennessee.
It's funny. I'll be in Knoxville in a couple weeks.
Now that'll be the last SEC stadium I visit will be in Knoxville. The very last one. Because
The reason why I hate Oklahoma is because of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Their fan base is very disrespectful.
Mhm.
You always see them going around doing this.
Yep, they do.
Horns down.
You know, you don't see Texas fans going around talking, trying to turn their wagon upside down.
No, they don't need any help with that.
No.
And nothing too. Their uniforms are ugly.
Oh yeah.
The red and white, or crimson and red, or crimson and white, whatever the color that red is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't.
And plus there are rivals in the Big 12.
Right, and that's why
Yes. Yeah.
that turd bowl they have down in Columbus.
Well, my question too, when Oklahoma and Texas do come to the SEC, where are they going to go? Who's going to be in the West? Who's going to be in the East? That's
Well,
my question.
I heard that Texas is going to be in the East, and Oklahoma is going to be in the West.
Okay.
So
I wonder if you don't put them both. You don't put them both in the West and move somebody in the West or the East.
And I don't know what teams are in the SEC East.
That would be Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Who am I forgetting?
Tennessee. You said Tennessee, right?
Tennessee, Florida, Georgia.
Yep, that's three.
Kentucky,
Vanderbilt.
Auburn?
Missouri. Mizzou is in
Oh, Mizzou? Yeah, and Auburn's in the West. Yeah.
Kentucky. Did I say Kentucky?
You did say Kentucky. So would you move Auburn to the East and put
It's a possibility. Well, you'd have to move two teams from the East or from the West to the East. So you move Auburn over, or do you move both Mississippi schools over?
You could.
A&M, Texas A&M is in the West.
That would make sense.
So to move Texas would make sense since they're already there. Putting Oklahoma and Texas in the SEC West would make perfect sense.
I really think it does.
LSU and stuff. But see, the only problem with moving Auburn, Bud, is if you move Auburn out of they're still in the same conference, but moving Auburn
right, it would just make it. It wouldn't make it a. It would just make it a.
Just a conference game,
it would just be a conference game, yeah.
Right, instead of it being.
Or, well, I've also heard that they're just going to blow up the conferences anyway.
And they could do that also.
And they're going to blow up the conferences and go to a 9-conference game schedule.
Now, here's my question to y'all.
Here's my answer to you.
Since Texas is coming over to the SEC, and you know, back in late '90s, early 2000s, we had that rivalry game with A&M.
Right.
Will that rivalry be reunited?
I do.
It has to be renewed.
Yeah.
It has to be. At least every other year.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least every other year.
Right.
But now, here's what I would like to see. Since we're moving over to the SEC, have two rival games. Okay? The Oklahoma Sooners and Texas A&M.
That probably
right.
Would go. Yeah.
And A&M's in the West.
Because that would really boost the SEC's ratings.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about that.
I think by 2030, as I've been saying for about 10 years now, and by 2030, we'll have two 30-team power conferences.
Yep.
It'll be the Big Ten and the SEC.
That's it.
And that'll be it. And then everybody else.
But
you'll have 60 teams playing for about 30 playoff games, and it'll be kind of like March Madness.
Yeah.
It'll be crazy. It'll be utterly nuts.
I don't see us doing much in the SEC our first year.
I wouldn't. Well, it depends on if you're in the West or the East. It depends on who you get on your schedule. I mean, if you pull Kentucky and Vanderbilt, so you can pull some of the bottom feeders.
But if we pull teams like Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, we're done.
You can beat Florida.
So you could beat the Gators right now. They're vulnerable. They're a vulnerable team right now.
But
I think the top of the SEC is for the next 5 years is going to be Bama, LSU, Georgia,
Tennessee. You could
and then
in there. You want to?
And Tennessee.
Yeah. Tennessee in there.
Well, I don't know. I hold off on Tennessee because I'm afraid they're a one-year wonder.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Depends on if Hendon Hooker stays. If he goes to the NFL, then no. We'll see how they are next season with a new quarterback.
That's what I'm thinking. Is because if Hendon Hooker is gone, if Hendon Hooker doesn't come back, then I don't know.
What about Georgia with Stetson Bennett? If he leaves, do you think they'll be the same team that they are right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They had to reload that, and the reason I say that is because they had to reload that defense. They lost 15 players off that defense to the NFL last year, and they're just as good if not better than they were last year. So I think Georgia can be all right for at least for the next couple of years. I don't know who would be. I don't know who's coming in next. But you also have to think of Texas. is got Arch Manning waiting in the wings.
Correct.
So expect.
And we have the quarterback we have now, Quinn. He could be better next season.
Of course, he can. He's a very capable quarterback.
Well, I think, Gerald, they have one more year in the Big 12. I think it's 2024.
Yeah.
At the conference.
2024, 2025, something like that.
Yeah.
They can leave as early as 2024.
Right. Which I would not be surprised if they didn't sign on in July to move to the SEC.
Yep.
July of 2024, they're on their way to the SEC. Pack up the moving vans, boys.
So we'll be seeing Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC.
Yeah, it'll be a rivalry.
Yeah.
Because, I never thought, 20 years ago, 2002, that in my lifetime, it would all blow up. I thought, no way.
It's funny to see Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC.
Right? If you sat 12-year-old me down, or 10-year-old me, actually, you sat 10-year-old me down and said, Texas and Oklahoma are going to be in the Big 12, I would have said, no way. No way. There's no way. That doesn't make any sense. And then if you had sat me down and told me that USC and UCLA were going to join the Big 10, I'd have told you to stop doing crack. It was crazy enough that Rutgers and Nebraska wanted to come to the Big 10. That was nutty enough.
Dumb. And
What's
Rutgers done? Nothing.
What has Nebraska done? Even less.
Exactly.
I mean, they say the grass isn't always greener on the other side, man.
No.
Do you think that it had a lot to do with basketball? Do you think that's why Rutgers left? Well, that's obvious, the obvious reason. But yeah, do you think maybe it was a move for basketball?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it. I think it was. I honestly, I think they're punching above their weight class. Rutgers was a strong Big East team. They always competed well in the Big East in basketball and football. And when they played when they fought in their weight class, they could punch with anybody. But now they go to the Big 10, and outside of a random year where they can catch a down Michigan or a down Ohio State or a down Penn State and knock them off, and they do that every 5 years. They'll catch somebody in a downswing, whether it be a Michigan or an Ohio State or a Penn State or a Michigan State, and they win a game, right? And everyone goes, "Ooh, look out, Rutgers! They might have got things figured out." When they turn the corner, and it's always wrong turn. Mm-hmm. But when they were in the Big East, they were an 8-4 team every year. Yeah. They were an 8-4 team with a couple of disappointing losses to a better, like they'd go play a Michigan or they'd go play, a Florida or Tennessee, and they'd be like, well, if next year if we can just clean a couple of things up and not so many bad penalties, stay on sides, don't get that PI at the end of the game, we can be right in this thing. And then and they wanted to go and see what they could do in the Big 10. They wanted to punch above their weight class. And like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they got punched in the mouth. And for Rutgers and Maryland and Nebraska, and who was the fourth team that came over in that deal? Rutgers, Maryland, Nebraska, and there was another team that we added, and it's escaping me now. Or was it just those three?
What surprises me is that Iowa's in the Big 10, Iowa State's in the Big 12. That's it.
Right. Iowa, again, it's weight class, Yeah. Iowa is a premier program and has been for 50 years, and Iowa State is a little brother.
Well, it wasn't Minnesota, right? Minnesota's been in Big 12, Big 10 for a long time.
Yeah, Minnesota was a founding member, if I remember right.
So it was Maryland, Rutgers, Nebraska, and somebody else came into the council.
I think so, because the Big 10 was originally before Penn State even got there. It was Michigan State, Ohio State, Purdue, Northwestern, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana. And that was the 10. Then we added Penn State. No, it was 3. Penn State, Maryland, Illinois. Not Illinois. Nebraska and Rutgers.
Yeah.
And those were the 3 that we added to get to 14, which is what we have now.
Yep.
It was 3. It was those 3. And I understand. And Penn State was an independent, so it made sense for them to join the Big Ten.
I think Notre Dame joins the Big Ten soon too.
I think Notre Dame is coming. I think we get Notre Dame. I think we get Cincinnati. I think we get probably Syracuse. I think Syracuse will come.
Cincinnati 12 next year.
Oh, are they moving to? Okay.
Yeah, them, Houston, and UCF are all going to the Big
12. Right. Isn't it Memphis too?
No, I think Memphis is. Oh, maybe it is Memphis. I know. Maybe it is.
I know there's 4 that are going.
Because the ACC is getting Rice, UAB,
right.
North Texas, and FAU are the 4 teams.
That's an up. Those are all pretty all right teams.
And in basketball, Wichita State plays in the AAC. They don't have a.
Okay. So should we didn't get into the NFL, which is all right because that was a thing that didn't happen this past week. But should we talk about USF for a few minutes?
Sure.
Go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts on it. I know you wrote an article about Jeff Scott, which I perused. Pretty good article. I enjoyed it. Why do you think they let him go? Other than the record, of course.
I think what happened, and I could be totally wrong on this, but I think his kids gave up on it. And I think what happens is when you prepare and practice, everything seems to go right. If you look at all of the losses that USF has this season, the only game that they were close in was the Florida game that I happened to be in person in the Swamp. The other games that they've lost have all been blowouts. Either they have a bad first half or a bad second half. And it's one mistake. And the one mistake is a domino effect. Right? And I think the
floodgates open.
His kids gave up. They were losing too much. They're like, we can't win with this guy. Now, it's going to be interesting to see who they bring in. Like I said earlier in the show, I think Scott Frost would make 100% the right decision.
Would you though?
Well, the only reason why I say that is he did a very good job with recruiting when he was at UCF. Now I know things have changed, obviously. I think the only reason that he would come back, he didn't. Nebraska. He had a horrible tenure in Nebraska. Horrible.
And the thing I'm thinking is there's too much stank around here.
Well, you could be right. I mean, the only reason I don't want John Gruden here is I know he put a lot of butts in the seats. Yes.
Yeah. There would be instant interest.
Gruden is
an NFL guy,
college coach. He doesn't have that mentality of not screaming at people, and you can't do that in college. I mean, yes, I know Nick Saban does it. I know Kirby Smart does it.
But they're college guys.
Yeah,
right. But they have that. But I don't. But John Gruden is 100%. I think John Gruden is too much. John Gruden would coach a college team like Urban Meyer coached an NFL team.
Correct.
Do you understand?
Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's not coming here.
Urban Meyer's not coming. The name that jumped off the page to me, the first thought when I heard they let him go was Josh Gaddis. And he's the OC down in Miami now.
Okay.
He was the OC at Michigan last year, and then he was the OC in 2020. And when they kept Harbaugh, he left for Miami. Because he had been angling for Harbaugh's job, and when they re-upped Harbaugh for 1 year, and they kept him in 2021, he left for Miami. Mm-hmm. No, that's the name that came to my mind. Was give him the keys to the car.
I've also heard Manny Fernandez.
Mason?
The former Hurricanes head coach. I've heard him. So.
But what's the goal? As a USF fan, as an administrator,
to get the team to get back to winning a winning season. They haven't had a winning season since Charlie Strong. So there you go.
Wow.
And the first step in the road to recovery is admitting you have a problem. And the problem is that they are the redheaded stepchild of Florida. Yep. And the problem is that they don't recruit Florida well. They get a lot of recruits from Florida. They don't recruit Florida well.
Correct.
No.
And the thing about it is I've talked this to death, is they've got to recruit the Midwest. They've got to recruit out in like Idaho and Washington, places that suck to win it.
The Dakotas. Yeah. The Plains, Nebraska, out east, in small towns in Washington, in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. You've got to be able to go out there and find 3-star studs that are going to want to come, that are going to want to get out of there and go to Florida to winter, and fall and winter in Florida. And you have to be, I don't know what the solution is, because, at the end of the day, you have to be realistic, right? You're not going to get up there and you're not going to beat Florida but once a millennium, right? Correct.
And so, what our goal is to be able to beat Temple, to beat UCF year in and year out, right? Those are the games that we have to think we're going to win. Those are the games we have to win. To beat Temple, to beat UCF, the Naval Academy, because they're in the ACC, aren't they? AAC?
Yeah, so I was going to let you guys know they're playing Navy on the road next year at the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to get credentials to that game.
That would be a fun one.
To go to Annapolis and
Of course.
go to Maryland and watch them play on the road. That would be cool. So I'm going to try to get with the credential guy for USF and see if get me in contact with I think it would be kind of cool to go to the Naval Academy. That would be cool.
Very cool.
Civilian, that would be cool to go to the Naval Academy. So yeah.
At the end of the day, it's about having realistic expectation. That over the next, it's about building a program that can get to where UCF is, and it's not going to happen overnight, right? The goal has to be to start putting together a series of plays every game, right? So win on first down, win on first down, stay on the field on third down. It's something that Doug Karsh was talking about when he was talking about the Michigan last year, because I listened to a lot of Michigan games on the radio last year. And he talked about winning a winning drive. It doesn't necessarily need to result in points. A winning drive is flipping field position. It's 2 first downs.
Right.
It's 2 first downs and flipping field position. It's giving your defense a chance to go out there and set your offense up in an advantageous position. It's pinning the other team behind the 20, inside the 20-yard line. And that is what UCF's or USF's goal has to be going forward, is to play winning football. It's about having good drives that you can go, okay, that was a good drive, we can build on that. And playing good, getting off the field on third down. I don't know how many USF games I watched this year where it was 3rd and 6 and they give up a 13-yard play. 3rd and 8, they give up an 18-yard play. 3rd and 12, and they had a couple, they run, they make a stop on first down, they get a penalty on second down, they get them 3rd and 13, got them backed up, and they hit the slant for 8 yards, and he breaks it off for 35.
The 2 problems I've seen all season, Bud, is we can't convert on third down to keep offensive drives alive, and we can't get off the field on defense. And I'm sorry, but if your defense is tired out come the second half, you're going to get a lot of points because you're fatigued. And that's what's
by the end of the first quarter, you've got the other team running 25 or 30 plays.
Yeah. Now, The special teams coach is taking over as interim coach. I hope probably
Okay.
the last 3 games.
Right.
I most likely will go to the press conference on Saturday. The game is at noon, so it'll be early morning for me. I'll be leaving at 10 a.m. to get to the stadium.
Right.
I will go because I can bet and 100% guarantee they're going to ask about Jeff Scott. I can guarantee you they're going to ask.
Next question.
What's your feeling about taking over for Jeff? Ask any of the players, is it any different under this coach staff? And you know what? Who knows? They might go out and beat SMU for all I know.
Right.
They might go out and win.
They might. Yeah, he might be the guy that can say the right things.
Yep.
He can get them to buy in to the script. And again, like I said, it's not about scoring on every drive. It's about putting together drives that you can say, okay, if we do this better, that's a scoring drive. We do that better, we can get off the field on 3rd down. It's about finding the things that it's about saying and doing the things that Jeff Scott couldn't do.
Right. Yep. Nope.
And I don't. And I look at you're talking about Scott Frost. Maybe can we go get him or what? And to me, there's just too much baggage there with his tenure at Nebraska. I look at them in the same. They're kind of the same. They're kind of the same animal. And maybe he could be the guy, but then again, with a guy like that, he's not going to want to stay at USF.
No, I will say this right now. If he does end up taking the job, the UCF games in Orlando, he will get booed. I can guarantee.
Right, obviously. I'd boo him.
Next season that he would get booed. There'd be
right.
No mind.
Yeah.
Because he's a traitor. They burn refugees
next year too on the road to try to go to the UCF game.
They burn refugees of him in the street.
Yeah.
Because he's seen as a traitor there. He left.
He was the coach that coached them in 2015 to their supposed national championship.
Right. And he left for his alma mater. He went to
Nebraska.
He went back to Nebraska, and he stunk up the joint.
Yep.
And for me, if I was a player, if I was a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, and I had offers from if USF was the only place on earth that offered me a scholarship, I'd have to think about turning it down.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't want to play for the guy.
Yeah.
If I was looking, I got Buffalo, I got Central Michigan, I got USF. Okay, Buffalo sucks, right? It's cold, it's miserable, it's Buffalo, but it's got Niagara Falls, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. Central Michigan, it's 6 hours from Chicago. It's a day's drive from Cincinnati, Columbus, Ann Arbor, Detroit. Okay, that's a possibility. It's cold, but it's Central Michigan, so you don't get a crazy lot of snow like you do up north. So there's that, and then you got USF. Girls, sun, it's always 75.
Girls,
and Scott Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
The only reason why I think he would be the right guy is because he's a name. Obviously,
right.
You're not getting Jim Leavitt back. I know they keep saying that. He's not coming back. John Gruden's not coming here. And if I hear another person say Deion Sanders, I'm going to smack him upside their head. Deion's not coming here.
If Deion goes
Auburn. Deion will be Auburn.
Auburn or at Florida State.
Well, right now, Coach the Noles are 6-4 this year, so I don't know why they would fire Norvell unless.
No, I'm just saying that the only two options. Let's say they fall apart and they end up 6 and when they got 6 and 7. They end up 6 and 7 or 6 and 6 at the end of the year. And I could see, especially if they lose again to Florida, I could see them especially if they can get Deion. If Deion would be willing to come to Florida State, they pull the plug on Norvell. I'm sorry, I think they would.
Hey, Brad.
Yes, sir.
Deion Sanders going to come to coach y'all.
He won't come here. There's no reason he would come here.
Hey, you said next person you hear say that, you gonna slap him.
I'll come to Austin and smack you. That.
I want to get you to Austin so I can meet you in person. Come on.
I'm trying to get him to come to Charlotte.
The pandemic ruined that opportunity. So there you go.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't. I've heard people say that. No, I'm sorry. He's
not coming down there.
He's going to go to Auburn. He's going to go to Auburn, or he's going to if Norvell fails either this year or even next year. If he starts to fail, Deion stays at Jackson State. He doesn't take the job at Auburn, and then he goes to his alma mater. Because you know what, FSU will roll the red carpet out for him to go back there. Pay him.
They will make him the mayor of the city
to come back to FSU because he ruled while he was in college there.
It's the Jim Harbaugh effect.
Yeah,
correct.
They will put up with his antics. They will put up with him stinking. They will let him do what he's got to do. And one thing I will say about Michigan and Jim Harbaugh is, I gotta say a kudos to Michigan for not giving up on him, for trusting the process and believing in him and letting him build the program and taking some tough losses and letting him have his chance. I mean, I know it's not it's not what everyone thought it was going to be.
Right.
He didn't come in, sword drawn, banner flying right before he burst into flames like all the other knights did. It was a slow burn. It took 10 years, but we're 3 wins away from making a second Big Ten championship game, and 4 wins away from making our second playoff game in as many years, and being a number 2 team in the country. So I mean, and Florida and Florida State, you guys are in the same boat. Florida's got to just batten down the hatches, brace for some rough seas, and then in 5 years they can be right back at the top of the heap.
I will say this about Florida this year. You can see when you change head coaches how long it takes. I think by the time that Texas and Oklahoma come in 2024, the Gators will almost be right there. They'll be on the cusp of being.
And I think Florida and SC, or Florida, Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC does nothing but help recruiting for the SEC.
Absolutely.
Because all those kids that went to Oklahoma State or Baylor because they hated Texas or Oklahoma, now they can go to, now they look at it and go, wow, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. I mean, I can go there. Let's say a kid from Oklahoma State, he's got offers from Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, and he's like, well, I grew up hating Texas. I want to play Texas. I want to beat Texas. I'm going to go to Florida. Yeah. I'm going to go to Bama. I'm going to Georgia. It does nothing but help recruiting in the SEC.
Correct.
And I'm excited to see what SC and UCLA can do for the Big Ten.
Yep.
In terms of recruiting and bringing some more of that West Coast talent to the Midwest. Kids that grew up in Oregon. Well, I don't really want to go play in Oregon anymore because my biggest rival's in the Big Ten.
Yep.
Yeah. Utah. Kids that went to kids that grew up in Utah or Nevada, SC is no longer in the Pac-12. They're in the Big Ten. Yep. It opens up recruiting trails in out west that we haven't had access to.
Correct.
So I love it personally.
All right.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, anybody else want to add anything before we close the show out?
I want to say once again, happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps and happy Veterans Day.
Same. Do or die.
Happy Veterans Day to all of you.
Yep.
Some gave some gave all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anybody want to plug shows? Go right ahead, guys. I'll leave the floor open to you.
All right. Enhanced Sports Show Saturdays, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 to 5 in Gerald's area, and 1 to 4 for the Easy West. Number to call is 512-543-4662. 512-543-4662. As I said, November is going to be a busy month, and it is. We'll have a World Series recap. We'll preview the MLB awards, which will be handed out. They'll be handed out over a period of several days. It's not all one day where it's all the awards. It's going to be handed out like a period of like 3 days. So I want to catch attention on that. The BCS standings. There's changes in it coming. Some say it's BCS. Some say it's, They
dropped the C.
Right, exactly. Yuck. That's an old joke, folks. We'll preview the World Cup because the World Cup starts now in 10 days. And we'll go over the Team USA schedule, see how well they can do. Of course, we'll have our college and pro football predictions. We'll talk a little NBA and NHL. So if you got time, call us Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll take over some meals now.
All right. Anybody else? Good? No? Takers? Okay.
Going once. Going twice.
Sold.
Thanks, guys, for everyone for tuning in this evening. Thanks to these three gentlemen for making Thursdays great every week. Look forward to this every week. Again, like we said, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, whether they're alive or they're not here. Thank you for the sacrifices that you guys did to make us free to be able to do this, because without this, we wouldn't be able to be doing this. My grandfather was
in spirit.
Yeah, my grandfather was a Marine, so that definitely simplify to all the Marines who, again, are here and who have left us. They never not be a Marine. They're always a Marine for life.
Yeah, both my grandpas served in the Army. So did my cousin and my uncle. So I come from a military family.
Mm-hmm.
A grandpa in the Army and a grandpa in the Navy.
Yep. Ooh, that's a tough Army Navy battle. That's a tough Army Navy battle.
Yeah, I can't.
Go Army, beat Navy. I was always an Army guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How different life would have been if I'd have been born a year earlier, but I'll tell you that story off the air. So we'll go ahead and close the show.
If y'all see Kev Dixon online, give him a big thank you because he did serve in the Marine Corps.
Yes, he did.
We'll do. Again, guys, the show is sponsored by CreatingZenSpaces.com and Garrett'sCarrots.com. We are part of NGSC Sports and In the Zone Sports Radio. We will be back here, guys, next Thursday to talk basically the topics that come up next week. We'll get in more in the NFL. Obviously, we'll be talking about the Bucks and the Seahawks in Germany. Game is on at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for the people on the West Coast, it's a 6:30 kickoff. So congratulations. You have the
Set your DVRs.
And Hawaii,
6:30 a.m. kickoff. 8:30 in Gerald's World in Texas, but
5:30 in Alaska.
5:30 in Alaska. Yeah, there you go.
And I think it's a 1 o'clock kick in Germany. So.
Yep. We do have an Instagram page.
We have an Insta.
And we do have an email address. If you guys want to make any business inquiries, please head over there to the email. And until then, guys, this has been the Walker Report. I am the Sportster Bradley Walker. Until next week, guys, peace.
Good night.
Cut, print, send it.
Right.